Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Today is January 22nd, 2026. We're on season 7, episode number 11. Andy, tonight's the songs edition.
Yes, music, music, music.
We're going to review an album, Andy. I've got my notes here for our Thursday night album review. So this one should be good. We've done this artist a few times. It's Led
Yep,
Zeppelin.
I've heard of them.
And tonight's album, here we go. Led Zeppelin III, they called it. And
Yes.
so this was their third studio album. And they just started naming them by Roman numerals after a while. All right, here we go. Led Zeppelin III, third studio album by English rock band Led Zeppelin, released 1970. Now, this album was one of the most anticipated for 1970. People were looking forward to this album. They had their debut that came out in 68, the next one in 69. They were doing well. This was a big deal to do this. There were several delays and finally got released in October. So that fall it was released 1970. The album's 43 minutes long and 4 seconds. So, Andy, what I'll do here is go through the track listing first, because each one of these songs, there's some good info on each one of these songs, and they all mean different things. Here's the track listing. Immigrant Song. That's the only song released as a single on this entire album was Immigrant Song.
Yeah, that's what's really weird. Yeah.
Although a lot of other songs, radio stations started to play the other songs, and then they all got popular. But Immigrant Song was the first one. That's a normal hard rock song, nice and short, 2.5 minutes. Next song is Friends. Next one is Celebration Day. Next one is Since I've Been Loving You. Next one is Out on the Tiles. Next is Gallows Pole, followed by Tangerine, That's the Way, Brown Yarrow Stomp, and Hats Off to Roy Harper. So, Andy, what we have here is 10 songs, a lot of acoustic. So this album showed a progression from straightforward rock towards folk and acoustic. And so if you're into metal and hard rock, this is not the album for you. The first two were. This was, like you've said time and time again, once you get to that third album, you can start playing around and doing different things that you want from the record label. This is Atlantic record label. So while hard rock influences were still present, such as Immigrant Song, acoustic-based songs such as Gallows Pole and That's the Way showed Zeppelin were capable of playing different styles successfully. The band wrote most of the material themselves, but as prior records, they include 2 songs that were reinterpretations of earlier works. Gallows Pole is a traditional English folk song, and Hats Off to Roy Harper, a reworking of a blues song by Buka White. So 10 songs. They have 8 original, 2 cover songs, essentially, that were kind of redone. That gets you the 10. All right. Here's some things that we're here to educate, Andy. We're here
That's
to
what
educate.
we do.
Part of our mantra here is we're going to go through each one of these songs. Song 1, Immigrant Song, basically was written about the Viking invasions of England. And so this is basically a big song in Iceland. Iceland folks say this is their national anthem. I've read on some of the comments section. Big popular song there. Robert Plant did a short tour of Iceland in June of 1970 and said, basically, I got to do a song here about the Vikings.
Yep.
I didn't know that background of this. Very good song, though, but it does have some very interesting lyrics. It ties back into, Viking mythology and whatnot. Good stuff. This became a U.S. top 20 hit. Next song is Friends. That's an acoustic track. Jimmy Page wanted to achieve kind of a more Indian style of sound, from India. And so that's the way they have that with some of the string arrangement by John Paul Jones. And that's how they put that together. A very interesting song, very good. That song segues into the next song called Celebration Day using a synthesizer. Song 4 is Since I've Been Loving You, one of the first songs written for the album. This was 1969. They wrote this. Now, this is a blues song in the key of C minor, featuring John Paul Jones on a Hammond organ and bass pedals. Not recorded separately, mind you. The take that he did featuring John Paul Jones was playing the organ and the bass pedals simultaneously.
Jesus.
I did not know that. This song became a live staple performance staple for the band throughout the rest of their career. I mean, really good stuff. Out on the Tiles, song mostly written by John Bonham, the drummer. Good stuff. Side 2, Gallows Pole. This is updated from the original traditional folk song called The Maid Freed from the Gallows. Very good. Love this song. Very, very good. Gallows Pole. Tangerine. Now, Tangerine was written by Jimmy Page back in 1968 while he was with the Yardbirds. We covered some Yardbirds album reviews in the past.
Yep.
So he was with the Yardbirds. 1968, writes Tangerine. And this features a pedal steel guitar as well as acoustic. And then they added this to their album in 1970. So 2 years later, on their Zeppelin's third album, they introduced Tangerine. The song That's the Way, very good song. This is basically Robert Plant and Jimi Hendrix taking some time to head to the cottage. They headed to the cottage to write a couple of these songs here. And that is the picture of the insert of the album cover. It's 3 of the songs on Led Zeppelin were written by Page and Plant while on holiday at the Bron-yr-Aur cottage, the cottage in Wales. And so
you said Jimi Hendrix there a little bit ago. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jimmy Page. I'm sorry. Yeah, I meant to say Jimmy Page. So they go to this cottage, those two, and said, hey, let's just kind of shut down, recharge the engine. And Robert Plant's family would holiday up here in this section of Wales. They'd vacation there a lot. So they went up there and they took off. This is a place that had a very remote setting in the country that had no running water, no electrical power, and it encouraged a slight change of musical direction for the band towards an emphasis on acoustic arrangements. And so they wrote that song, That's the Way, while they were up there. Bron-yr-Aur Stomp, originally called Jennings Farm Blues. And that's the name of the farm up there that they would go visit. They're part of the family. Very interesting song there. It talks about Robert Plant's longtime love of heading up to this cottage area in Wales. The song is really about his dog and his love for his dog, going way back. So basically, there's an old farm place up there.
Yeah.
And they recorded this as an electric arrangement. Subsequently, they reworked it as an acoustic number. And it features John Bonham playing the spoons. Andy, did you know that?
I did not, but we're here.
I did not either. He's playing spoons. So this dog, I went through and read the entire lyrics of this song, and it is the song about his love for the German Shepherd. They're up in Wales where the family would vacation. And the closing track is Hats Off to Roy Harper, based on the Bucca White song Shake 'Em On Down, blues song, and a tribute to their friend and folk singer Roy Harper. Now, Andy, you may know this, but you know where Roy Harper comes into play on another album review we did from AC/DC. Have a cigar.
That's right.
Have a cigar.
Like, I've heard that name.
Roy Harper. And I looked this up today just to confirm it. You know, I don't think I knew this. AC/DC album. The song Have a Cigar is sung entirely by Roy Harper, not by anyone from AC/DC on that AC/DC album. And so they were very close friends, very influential with Roy Harper. And so they did an arrangement here. Hats off to him. Roy Harper, by the way, is still living. He's 84 years old. So I like doing these reviews, Andy, because you always learn something, of course. So what they did was the band brought 16 tracks into the recording studio for Led Zeppelin III, and they said, hey, let's go with 10. So now I got 6 extra. And so all 6 were ended up being used at a later date and dropped on different albums or various things. The song "Poor Tom," they released that on Coda. Brony Hour is a double album, Physical Graffiti. Hey Hey What Can I Do was released on a B-side to the Immigrant Song in 1970, but never on an album. Hey Hey What Can I Do, one of my favorite songs by Led Zeppelin, was never on any album of theirs. It was just a B-side on the Immigrant Song. Great trivia question there.
Yep.
And then, and I think there was a couple other songs there were appeared on the deluxe edition of the album. So they got all 16 songs they came ready to record. They recorded them all, put 10 on the album, saved the other 6, and dropped those over their career. Now, the original vinyl edition, packaged in a gatefold sleeve with an innovative cover designed by Zacron, a multimedia artist whom Jimmy Page met in 1963, while Zacron was a student at Kingston College of Art. Later, this guy went on to graduate from the Royal Academy of Arts and became a lecturer at the University of Leeds. Jimmy Page says, "Can you help design a cover for the album?" And he did. So that's what this album is that you're seeing now, the album cover. If you look closely, most of it's images and kind of copy-pasted things randomly. But if you look close, it's the 4 members of the band with circles around them.
Kind of very, very, very late 60s-ish.
Yes. Yes. One of the most anticipated albums. Right away, they got advance orders that almost sent it to 1 million in the U.S. alone. So it almost went platinum upon release.
Jesus.
So this was huge, and whether people were let down or not, we know it's good music. It's a good album, but because it went so soft that they were trying some new things. It was not hard rocks.
Like we said in the pre-production meeting, I like Zeppelin. I just don't think they're as great as everybody says they were. But again, I wasn't there when the stuff came out the first time.
Yeah, it was groundbreaking stuff. This late 60s, these guys were new trailblazers of just the way they did their recording and the music. And like I said, we've talked about these guys before. It was almost like a super group when these guys formed.
Because the music we grew up on, these guys were influences to them. So we've kind of heard that already. We didn't hear it the first time. So yeah, it was good, but not the groundbreaking stuff.
And so when we come around and listen to the rock that we like, the interviews we see, many were influenced by Led Zeppelin. And so very interesting.
Here's the when this album came out, from reading the dates, this album came out between us. You were already a few months old when this came out, and this was before me. So
yes, so this is the first 2 albums were out, recorded, and released before you and I were even born. Then I was born here in 1970. This
just
album
before this
out,
one,
and then they released it, and then you were. So this is going way back. So interesting stuff. Here's the personnel: John Bonham drums. If for anything else, listen to this album all the way through just for the drumming aspect.
Yeah. It's kind of made. I was like, this album made him, but really let him set out.
Yeah, it is just, it's just some unbelievable stuff. John Paul Jones, bass, but along the way he plays the organ, the mandolin, a double bass, a synthesizer, a lot of string arrangements. This guy could play it all. He was the utility guy on the squad here that could kind of do anything and really put all this album together as far as what this band could all do. Jimmy Page on guitars, Robert Plant on vocals, and they didn't bring in any session guys. Back the same with their second album.
Yep.
It was just those 4 who played on the recording. They didn't bring in anyone else to do any other work on it. But and so they recorded this at 3 different locations, and they were going on a very big frenzy after the second album came out on a tour, on the tour. They were going nonstop, and that's why they needed a break and took some time off to come up with this. But good stuff. get a chance to listen to this, I mean, from the vocals alone, listen to Plant, from the drums alone, listen to Bonham. John Paul Jones is kind of doing everything in here, and Jimmy Page is Jimmy Page. He'd been a long time, very successful session guitarist, and finally got peeled away from that and joined the Yardbirds, and after that came into Zeppelin. But the stuff he was doing on this, it's unbelievable. What they were doing here, the talent at this. But yeah, that cottage, once again, the cottage that they stayed at in Snowdonia, Wales, is an 18th century cottage, and a very meaningful spot to Robert Plant's family growing up. And he took Jimmy Page there, and they did a lot of real mellow stuff. They got into some psychedelic, I guess, if you will, on this as well. Jimmy Page produced it. It was on the Atlantic record, and they only released the one song, November of 1970.
That's what blows me away about this. It was the one song, very popular song for him, and again, maybe it's because just the overplayed. One of my least favorite songs on the album.
Yep, it's very interesting. And like I said, I listened to the whole thing again, and if you can get your head wrapped around the acoustic and the slow and the mellow stuff,
yeah,
it's good stuff. But it's 43 minutes long. It's one you can put in, press play, listen to the whole thing, or jump around if you want. But Immigrant Song, you're going to know. And I really like this album. We've done a bunch of these reviews, but like Andy said, being ahead of their time and breaking the new trail, everyone followed them, and they became really popular because they were the first to do it. But they were just trying things out, and they didn't really care either. So they just said, "Hey, let's do this," and it sounded good, and they released it. So.
And when I say they played like they didn't care, it's not like they had that big chip on their shoulder, like, we're Led Zeppelin and we're going to do what we want. But they played like they had that chip on their shoulder, we're Led Zeppelin, we'll do what we want. You know, the third album, you make what you want to make. And this really kind of started it, I think, for bands to do that too. But
and this went 6 times.
With the Yardbirds beforehand in that too. He had a little experience with that stuff. He had that little pedigree going with him. So.
Yeah, these guys were good. These guys were good. This went 6 times platinum. But good stuff. Nice. Now, this is considered hard rock, Andy, and it's considered folk rock.
Folk rock
is rock.
It's like saying a rock band did a blues album. They call it folk rock.
It's kind of like some early Heart stuff. Was more folksy.
And who's one of Ann and Nancy Wilson's inspirations? Zeppelin.
Good stuff. Please leave your comments below if you missed any. Yes, it all kind of spins from the same circle there as far as it goes, but good stuff. In 2014, they did release the deluxe version of this, remastered songs, some demos, some live versions. It's not enough to make me say, hey, I'm going to go out and buy that, but I did look it up. I looked it up. There's nothing really that interests me there for the hardcore fans, though. If you want to get that, it was released in 2014.
Now, see, and we could say it too, because when that was 2014 was kind of the end of it there. See, when we were youngins, that was a big deal then, because you didn't have YouTube to go look up old videos on. You didn't have Spotify to check all the songs out. You had to get some of the old back cuts or see some video footage. You had to wait for that deluxe edition 10 years later, or a greatest hits album where they threw some videos in there. Because while the 80s bands would make videos, which is basically them on tour, and you saw them drinking backstage and making fools of themselves. We thought that was groundbreaking, man. Spent $10 for this videotape. Look, they drank, ha, ha, ha. Now you can see it on YouTube and reality shows all the time.
Yeah, one comment I did see on going through the YouTube, listening to the music there, someone did state that, too bad there was not a documentary crew following these guys around during this time, during the recording sessions, during this cottage in Wales, and in the recording room. This would have been some good stuff, and there's none of that stuff exists. And so this was 1970. Please leave your comments below, anything we missed, and questions that you have.
It makes the whole folklore of the whole album be that much better without having the video, though, too.
Yeah, I like it.
Makes the stories of the band members that much better.
and the album cover, the artwork that they got that artist to do is so bizarre and kind of psychedelic as it is.
Yep.
And you find out that this guy went on to be a lecturer at University of Leeds. Oh, we're here to educate. Random stuff.
That's what we do.
All
That's
right,
what
have
we
a good
do.
week. We'll be back Thursday again with another round. See ya.
See ya.